I do. I actually pulled it up on my phone too, just in case. So
yeah, it just helps keep us on the same page.
Well, it does, and also I don't have to print off another piece of paper.
Right.
That I leave. And my house is in complete chaos. I don't even know where my printer is at the moment, so it doesn't matter. Welcome, Chad, from downtown Menominee at night.
Yeah, looks like he's from the big city.
I know. I always think he's like standing in New York or something.
That's 5 a.m. in the city of Menominee.
It's a cool picture. I really like it.
Thank you.
You currently look like a newscaster with the city behind you and the shirt and tie.
In today's news and weather, I will.
Tell us that the news and weather is that we're going to have sunny like this for like another month.
Yes, exactly. In Wisconsin.
Uh-huh. Wouldn't that be fabulous?
Holy cow, is that Carrie Anderson?
How's it going?
Wow.
That is
Have you
a
left
Carrie
your house
Anderson.
in 6 months?
A few times. I've literally only been to the office one day. Actually two. One was on a Saturday, but yeah.
Wow.
Otherwise, just working from home. I love it.
Glad to have you join us, Carrie. And looks like Jackie's on too.
Good.
Yep, I'm here.
We don't get to see your lovely face, Jackie.
Well, hold on. Hello.
There she is. Welcome, Jackie.
Hello.
How you doing?
Oh, fabulous.
Good.
Unlike
Yeah, you
Carrie,
guys all working from home too?
we are. I'm in the office like one day a week, but I actually miss working in the office. Oops, I gotta put on mute. One of my kiddos just got home. Second, I gotta move.
Looks like we also have Andrea Nodolf on with us, and I think BJ, is that you out there?
Yep, I'm here, it's Andrea.
Yep,
Great.
Yep, that's me, BJ.
Glad to have you join us.
Thank you.
Good deal.
And Carrie, I don't know if Lori was going to join us. Oh, there she is.
Joining,
I was
right?
gonna, okay, yeah, I was just gonna, her and I just got off another meeting together.
Yeah. All right. I think we're all here. Charisse, Marshall got tied up at the last minute, so he's not able to join us. And Alyssa from the bridge has another meeting, so she wasn't able to join us either, but she gave me some input for the website when we get to that point on the agenda.
Okay. Sounds fantastic. So then we will get started. We'll call the order at 3:33. I'm assuming you got the roll call, Sarah?
Yes, I do.
Anyone want to make a motion to approve the minutes from last month?
I approve.
A second?
I second, Andrea.
Perfect. Thank you. Anybody oppose that? Okay, motion carried. Our minutes are approved from last month. Just easier to ask who disagrees than who agrees because it's hard when we're on video. Update on Handle with Care. That would be you, Carrie.
So we didn't have much to do with Handle with Care from, well, mid-March when all of the schools shut down up until this month, currently, September. So now Katerina, our access worker, she did reach out to all of our local law enforcement agencies as well as all of the schools and reminded them again about Handle with Care, just because we had gotten out of that routine for a good 5-6 months due to COVID. So, and then she reached out to all the new administrators in the different school districts and just explained to them, and then the new guidance counselors explained to them what Handle with Care was or is, and when and how they would be getting updates on kiddos. So that's pretty much all I got. So
That's awesome. I'm glad that somebody took the time to kind of reorient everybody given new school year. I mean, it's even after summer break. So there would
Yeah.
have been some of that, but with COVID, that kind of threw everything in a little different tailspin as well.
yeah, it did. Because and it just felt like we were just getting up and running with the whole program when everything got shut down. So hopefully we can get back to where we were before.
Absolutely. Good. Well, thank you for that update. Thanks for following up on that too, along with everything else. So that's good. Anybody have any questions or concerns about the Handle with Care?
No, we just sent out a reminder to the law enforcement just because I don't know if we really got, it was a while ago that we got updated by that. So we just sent out another reminder to the officers because we've had a lot of new staff. So they just got updated again with the procedure and how to give those kids names out and why, when they should do it and why they should do it. So.
Fantastic, and perfect timing with Human Services doing it too. So everybody's on the same page starting this out this school year. So great. That's good to hear. Okay, and Sarah, I skipped staff report because I clearly can't read the agenda that's in front of my face. So let's go back to number 4 and talk about staff reports.
No problem. I figured we would get to it sooner or later. Real quickly, let's see, I did take the idea of PSAs to our communications work group, and they would love to help us formulate any PSAs. They do ask that we kind of hone our message and figure out what we want to do and say. So I think that's part of what we're going to be doing today. But we have some help there, which is great. Let's see, we did have our first family treatment court graduation earlier this month. So I think that's really an example of one of that DEC kid, that DEC family that went through our family treatment court and really successfully completed the program, reunified as a family. So just wanted to share that. We've had that program up and running for about a year. So it's just really fantastic that what this work group does, kind of getting that message out, the other end of it, we're having programs and we're having successes. So just wanted to share that. And let's see, the next thing, Shelley Jo Metzger did pass along some contacts at Mayo Clinic when we were talking about that healthcare provider education. So we've got those on email. And then the last thing, we've got our CJCC executive at the end of the month. So I'll be updating the leadership just on Sharice's desire to go on to other things. So we still have the chair position of this work group. We're still looking for someone to step up. If we don't get a volunteer, then we'll look to delegate the responsibility to somebody. So if anyone's interested, please let me know. We'd love to kind of have somebody from this group take over leadership. If not, then we'll figure something out. That's it for my staff report.
Fabulous. I actually saw the somewhere, I don't remember where I saw it, the graduation of the, maybe it was on Menominee PD's Facebook site or something.
Yeah, yep, we did a press release and put it out there, and that's part of our communications platform, the Facebook page on the county and MPD. Yeah.
They turn out to be my neighbors.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they live across the street from me.
Oh, well, nice.
Yeah, had no idea until I saw that. So that was really cool. That was cool. It was good. Just a random aside there. Okay. Well, thanks, Sarah, for updating us on what's going on. Now moving into kind of our nuts and bolts of our meeting, website ideas or PSAs. We have kind of both of them, and they're really tied together in how we want to do that, but we have them listed separately. So anybody have thoughts on website ideas? What that should look like, what we should include, what we should not include?
One of the things I was looking at for just the cover page itself when you first pop up, I'm not sure how you want that to look, but I was thinking either a group picture of all the different agencies that are involved, just a collective, one or two people, or maybe even if we can get, majority of people together, or, just the, like we have our badges and stuff with, logos or for which each department on the cover page to show that unity of, that the collective group working together for Dunn County. Just something like that to tie us all together.
Mm-hmm.
Would be a good cover page or good start that you first thing you see.
I really like your idea of the picture of people. I know many people don't like their picture taken, myself included, but it really makes it real to other people who go to the website. You know what I mean? When they can see a face, it makes it more human versus just logos and stuff. Now, logos aren't bad, so if everybody votes me down, that's totally fine. But it's just something to think about, and how can we make this a user-friendly website, but place that people want to go look at, that it doesn't look sterile. Good. Thanks, Chad. Other people? Thoughts, ideas?
I wasn't at the last meeting, but is this going to be where on the Dunn County page?
Yes.
So under CJCC or where under?
Yeah, it'd be a tab under CJCC, or we could have, Krista's online. Maybe she can speak to that more in particular if we wanted to have a separate tab. But I guess I would put it, I've got purview over the CJCC website, so that's where I would build the tab.
Well, we're currently.
If you guys want it, I can put it.
Sorry, Krista.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was saying wherever you guys want it, I can put it, or create some page, whatever you need, just let me know.
I mean, I don't see a lot of families going out to the CJCC page. I mean, just to be honest, in my opinion, I think, to get more bang for our buck, to increase, the amount of parents, and, if we can get something where it's on the school, that's, to me, it would be, amazing to understand, like the school district of Menominee, and have some information there, or a link to it would be ideal, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we can absolutely ask to have links from the schools. I don't know if we're going to be able to have a web page under the school's website, if that's what you're referring to.
But if we have a link, then parents can click on the link and then go to the website. And then it doesn't matter where the website's located.
Right, yeah, and I think you can just Google Dunn County DEC, and that's what you would get on whatever page we put it on the Dunn County page.
So do we want it to be more like an informational page? Like if you are concerned about a child being a drug endangered child, these are the different things that you can do. Call Human Services, make an access report, call law enforcement, those types of things? Or am I way off base? I wasn't at the last meeting either, so I'm feeling a little in the dark.
Well, Carrie, just to add to your comment, I guess that's what I kind of envisioned as well. And I'm just going to quickly share our DEC informational handout. So I'm going to share my screen. And you guys should be seeing the DEC informational page. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is what we took to the schools as far as handing out information, but kind of explained what DEC children are, potential consequences, potential outcomes, those signs and symptoms. Then on the last page, how to report. And then we had our agency numbers, Crime Stoppers. And then we were debating on whether to have a link to the national DEC, which I don't think this version is from January of 2019. But we do, I think, have a more updated one that has the national DEC information. So just wanted to put this out there because I thought that this was some information that the group already kind of went through and identified as important. And this stuff could be easily put on a web page.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you go to wisconsin.dec.org, they got a pretty simple page already that I kind of like. It's just one very short scroll down information page with some tab links that we already talking about in the upper right corner. You know, resources, what to look out for, who to contact, you know, those type of things that could easily just be drop down menus to click on to take you to that resource. So.
Great, I'll check that out. Thank you.
Yeah, theirs has always, they've kind of kept it kind of simple on purpose because they haven't always had somebody who could update stuff. So they wanted to keep it kind of generalized, which is good because it's also easier to find stuff than, like, I don't know if you've ever been, National DEC website is amazing, but there's so much out there that we want to be careful not to do that either. If we have a link, that's great. People can go, they can dig around on the national website, but for our own, we want to make it as user friendly as possible. I would think.
Yeah, and I think you want to personalize it with just our information on that first page, and then, like you said, if we don't want to clutter it up with all the details and try to find it in there, where you can just have easy to click to buttons like they do on the upper right, and just you know, who to contact, you know, what to look for, you know, those type of things make it a lot easier. So,
Right.
and that's why I think on that cover page you could have a picture of us or our logos or however you want to do that, and then just a quick what Drug and Danger Children program is, what our mission statement is, and just kind of go from there. You know, just a quick tutorial of what it is, and then those links can be in the upper corner where you can go.
Sounds good. I can envision it already. Thanks, Chad.
Totally fine. Anybody else have some thoughts? This is the time to brainstorm kind of everything, and as we go through, we can keep or toss depending upon what we think.
So the bridge did request that they had a link to their website from our DEC page. Do other folks want a link to their webpage or office numbers?
I think that'd be part of the resources that you know, that tab could be in a resource tab where all of our agency quick link contact would be, you know, or and then it can just be a reporting tab where you can click on that and either be, you know, 911 or the intake or whatever numbers we want to put in there that they can reach out to.
I always think a resource tab completely separate from the rest of it is really nice for people to just go to click on that and pick that stuff up versus putting that separate, you know, putting stuff within the website or the web page itself, have that as a separate tab. Because I think a lot of websites do that, and so many people, it's very user friendly, it's very user knowledgeable that that's there.
Looking at Eau Claire counties, they have a DEC webpage too. they have a link, how do I donate to DEC, where it goes to the Eau Claire Sheriff donations. DEC accepts monetary donations, gift cards, or backpacks. Yeah, theirs is just kind of a nice little one pager too.
And I think that there would be a benefit of having the victim witness program be on that resource too, because maybe people wouldn't understand DEC real well or where it was going, but can certainly identify with victims.
For sure.
Yeah, and I like that they also have a event tab on there. So when we do start to get to these, our community presentations, this could also be where we could put that out there too, or community training. We could even put, some tutorials on there too, for training tutorials. If somebody wants to just click on there and, well, what is meth or what's it look like? We can do a, 2 or 3 minute training identification of what to look for drugs, or, maybe somebody talk about, what to look for in the drug endangered children instead of just reading about it. Something we could each take a little part of, and talk about it. Law enforcement can talk about what the drug looks like and what to look out for. CPS can talk about what the children might look at, or what to look for in children that are in signs or symptoms, and just kind of, 2 or 3 minute tutorials. I don't know, that would be easier than reading about it.
I think there's a lot of people nowadays that would prefer that than reading anyway. But then it also brings in those people who can't read. They're able to listen and see. Or if there's people like me, I can read something 15 times over and not digest it. I watch a video and I can pick it up right away. And it gives them options. We could do both. We could have stuff in writing and stuff by video.
Mm-hmm.
I think our MOU should probably be on there as well, just for transparency's sake. So we could maybe do like a documents tab, or something like that has like the MOU, and if we have any other kind of written out kinds of things that we want to add to that. So it's out there. I'm not sure that a lot of people are going to read it, but
Right.
we do want to be transparent and be upfront and those kinds of things.
Do we have any like success stories from our programs that maybe we can get, a testimonials, to talk about it, like we did back in the day with Done with Meth, where we had a couple of people that were talking about, that were success stories and talk about what they went through.
Fortunately, most of those people came back, Chad.
I know, that's why I asked.
I recall it was Harley Olson and Echo Olson. They were both my customers back in 2005.
I know.
And they were so proud to be in your video.
Yes.
Well, they were doing well at that time. That's a good thing. We may have to just change the testimonials occasionally.
Yeah, but there definitely are.
But I think that would also help put to get a testimonial from, some of the success stories, if we can get them to talk about it. So I know we had quite a few when we had Project Hope, a meeting at the city council meeting before COVID. We had that, and we had a lot of testimonials about people talking about how meth affected their life and what they went through. So I think people are willing to talk about it.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess the challenge with that is, I mean, even in that particular instance, they haven't had sustained recovery or been well since on some of those folks. So I think when we put a kind of this poster person of a program, it puts a lot of pressure on them, and it also, their success reflects on us. So I think, if we did that, I hope it would be somebody that has a good period of time of sobriety, that we could really stand behind.
How about Josh Gibson?
I wouldn't recommend that.
You would not recommend Josh? Is he not doing well?
No, I think he's doing just fine.
Okay.
But I think he has his own organization, his own mission. I think we just need to
Oh,
be careful
yeah.
what we attach ourselves to, because
okay.
we could be perceived, through that lens. So
I see. Yeah.
Well, maybe we don't have to worry about so much as a success story, other than just a testimonial, how it affects their life, and not put that focus on the success about it, but more focus on what it does to the what the effects are when they're using and what they're going through. So that way it takes that pressure off if they do relapse. So
Maybe more about the process than the success.
right.
Which I think that would be really good too, because it takes away some of the fear of someone having to go through the system, so to speak. If somebody's going through it for the first time, or it can, I don't want to normalize it because we don't want that, but it can make it easier for someone else if they're watching that video, saying, here's kind of the process I went through. These are kind of the people that helped me through to where I am today, versus calling it success.
Right, because it's always constant struggle. So success talks about overcoming it and winning. It's all addiction is going to be a constant struggle. So you're never over. So it's a constant battle. So I don't know if we don't want to call it success story more than what they've went through.
I do agree that we need to personalize it to some of their stories, because that's what people relate to.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think, Chad, you have some good points with that. And there are people, and I think we all know that, relapses happen, but it doesn't mean it's a total failure, even if they do relapse. But people connect when it's personal stories versus just information.
Absolutely. And actually, it's even better, not that we want people to relapse, but that's a really powerful story for somebody to say, yeah, I relapsed in the middle of the program, but this is what I did to get back on track. That's not always bad.
I mean, Cassie Lapina would be one of those stories. I'm sure she'd be willing to get in front of the camera and talk about it, or get in front of a group and talk about it.
She needs some more sobriety there, Chad.
Like, Chad, you've lost your cookies.
I just caution everybody, we are live on YouTube, so we probably should refrain from using names.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
Does the CJCC have a
To
big?
the point, it sounds like we've got some people in mind that could be these testimonials. Sorry, Andrea, go ahead.
Well, I was just looking at the More Than Meth Eau Claire County Facebook page. I mean, if our goal is to try to educate more people, I'm just trying to think of ways to get more people interested, and as opposed to the county website, Facebook seems to be bigger, the school district seems to be bigger, so I'm just throwing out ideas. I didn't know it was like Project Hope. Are they going to have a Facebook page? There's more, probably a communications work group, but Eau Claire's More Than Meth page, has resources about DEC, and then it's got more pictures, and to me it's just more appealing than like reading statistics and reading about what DEC is.
Absolutely. People get bored of just words. Words are important, but that's why I think those testimonials will be very important. And even putting pictures of the team makes it just more real than just another page. But a Facebook page might be something we want to look at as well. I know we've been talking about web pages, but
or at a minimum, like have the sheriff's office and PD. I think that's where we get more people interested, posting on their Facebook pages, like a link, or not even links, pictures. I think, images, pictures speak more than read the following.
that's a good idea to take a look at. Okay. Other thoughts that people have about, because this is now the time to kind of brainstorm about ideas. about what a web page might look like, things that we should include, or even just thoughts of ideas of things we should include, even if you don't know what that thing is. That's okay too. Anybody? Okay. Do we want to take a look at, because sometimes it's hard with a big group of people to figure out details, creating like a smaller work group to work on just kind of the more fine tuning of ideas and maybe what it might look like on a web page. And obviously that team wouldn't build it unless somebody within the group has that skill set. But you know, maybe 3, 4, maybe even 5 people on a team just sitting down and hashing out some details on the website and then bringing them back to the team to approve versus taking up a deck work group time to try and figure those details out. Any thoughts on doing something like that?
Do we have a certain time frame for this?
No.
Okay.
Well, I frankly think this group's small enough. Any smaller would be just a couple of people. What I could do is connect with Krista or Rita. Those are 2 folks that can build the website. I've got the input so far, but then we can bring something back, whether it's to a smaller group just ahead of time to get feedback, or our next meeting to really kind of yes, no, and kind of fine tune it and figure out what else that we want to add to it. But I think we've had a lot of good ideas here that we could at least start building the actual page.
That sounds great, Sarah. I just didn't want to, you know, throw more at you because you're already doing so much all the time. So, but if you're willing to do that, that might be a really great next step versus doing a smaller group.
Yes, yep, you bet.
Good. Is everybody okay with that? Anybody have an issue with that?
Yeah, I think that might be easier just because there's so many people working from home. How would you be able to connect? So.
Right. Yeah, we have all sorts of.
I just put an open invitation if you do come across something important or interesting or another website that has a good example, just send me an email and I'll take a look at it.
Perfect. Okay, so that will be our website. Sarah will start working on that, or that next step of it. How about PSA ideas?
I think like we talked about the last time, the PSA needs to be pretty brief. You know, you're talking about 3 minutes or less. It's usually what people's attention span is, especially on videos that on Facebook. I think you start getting that 4 or 5 minute, people start losing interest unless it's really engaging. But it'd have to be pretty brief, 3 minutes. I think just get some points across. What I was looking at was, you know, who we are, what we are, you know, our mission, our goals. Just a brief description of what meth does to people and how it affects the kids, families, in the community. And then Dunn County and on our national stats, you know, maybe throw something out like that to show, you know, how it's affecting us. And then resources that are out there. And way to contact us if we have suspicions of a drug and dating child.
Excellent. That's a good one. Any other thoughts from people? Crickets.
Chad, so just so I can envision this, are you envisioning like each of those different topic areas to be a short PSA, or this is a short PSA covering all those topic areas?
I think you can get them all in a 3 minute time span. I mean,
Okay.
I'm talking about just a brief, you know, just a overview of everything. Because I think you'd get lost, your message would get lost if you try to break that down in each, you know, 2 minute segments.
Yeah.
I think you should be able to do it. I think Carrie will do a good job.
Thanks, Chad.
Hey, everybody was nominating me last time, so you're next.
Not true, Chad. We left it on you.
What's a great opportunity also to, in that PSA, even tell people if you want more information just about DEC, go to the website. It's a great way to get that information out there as well, to make it more public. You know, especially if we put those PSAs on like Menominee PD, Dunn County Sheriff's Office.
I think that's a good point, Sharice, that we should have that DEC website up and running, because then folks would have something else to go to and to get more information, and that could kind of raise the profile that we have this DEC website out there.
Yeah. Just my thought.
So we're just thinking like one PSA?
Maybe one to start. Focus small and build from there.
I mean, you could just do the one PSA and then once we have the website up and coming, do another one to promote it.
Well, that's true. We could do two separate PSAs. So the first one, we could talk about the stuff that you listed, plus say there is a website. And then the next one, or there will be a website. And then the next one would be the website is up and running. Here's the stuff that's on it. This is what you can find on there. That's a good idea. Other thoughts from anybody?
I'm good with that. I think that sounds good.
And I'm assuming you're agreeable, Carrie, to Chad doing them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Chad has my vote.
It's got mine too.
We could probably make a motion on that, Chad, if you wanted.
You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm sure. So do we want to get started working on the one PSI about the stuff that Chad listed and then just put in there that there will be a website? And then once the website's up and running, we could do a PSI at that time about the website and what's all on there. Does that sound like an okay plan of action?
Yep.
Yep. Everybody good with that? Anybody not good with it, speak up. Because sometimes that's easier. Okay. So what'll be our next steps with creating the PSA? Because now we have ideas. Chad, you said that MPD has the equipment to do such a thing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's
I think
what
we're even getting at, yes.
our communications work group, that's what she offered their assistance.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Which is basically MP assistance.
And I think Brenna's even got a, I think she's bought a green screen too, so we can do whatever we want in the background. Or whatever location.
Cool.
Well, I think the next steps is really forming up that message, that 3-minute or less message. Chad had a lot of good ideas. So it's how can we really synthesize that down to, simple language, hitting all those areas, less than 3 minutes. So I think kind of starting to craft our message.
Yes. And making it 3 minutes while talking in normal voices, not 3 minutes speeding through it.
No coffee that day.
Well, I didn't mean it that way, but sometimes people do those PSIs and they're so fast. You're like, what did you just say? And then people stop listening because they can't digest the information. And so it has to be slow enough for people to gather the information, but not slow enough to bore them. So whatever that 3 minutes is fits into that kind of speed of talk as well.
And do we want to have one person just talking, or do we want to have several people, or even several people from different agencies within this work group? Kind of, because then we can also highlight the collaboration that's going on, or we could just have our kind of point person, Chad.
I don't know, what does other people think? I have thoughts on both directions, but
It'd be kind of nice just to break it up a little bit and have people do short little segments. I don't know.
I mean, having a group of, 5, 6 of us, whatever, and each person take a line or two.
Yeah.
Andrea, what are your thoughts on that idea?
I'm fine with whatever the team thinks. I mean, I don't have many thoughts. I agree.
I like your comment, Sarah, about having multiple people shows the collaboration piece, because DEC is really about collaboration. So it might be good to have multiple faces for that reason.
I mean, maybe it should stick a worker or two on that project. Doesn't really need to be Lori or I, but
Heidi would be a good fit.
yeah, she would love that.
She would love it.
Oh my gosh, she'd have everybody in costume and she'd have the whole skit played out.
Yep.
I remember her from a training. Yeah, I think that's a good idea too. And like you said, Carrie, it doesn't have to be necessarily the person who's on the team. It might be the face of DEC in your department. You know, we're on the committee, but that doesn't mean we have to be the faces. It might be the person, you know, the person who's normally out in the community, or, you know, however that looks. Good. All right, so who wants to start working on the actual wording of the PSA? Look at you.
Well, I can bring something back to our
Nice,
next meeting.
Chad.
Kind of hitting all those areas that Chad outlined earlier, and then the group can kind of wordsmith it, you know, just to get something on paper.
Okay. Fantastic. Thanks, Sarah. Good. We are moving right along. This is cool. Anything else about the PSA ideas or thoughts right now?
I've already got our closing already. It's already in my head. It's gonna be good too.
Can you share it, or is it gonna be a surprise?
Well, we should go back to the old school, and we should, each of us, you know, they can do edit a clip of somebody, you know, each agency, officer in the field next to a squad car, social worker, you know, doing whatever social workers do, you know, each agency, whatever, and each person would be at the end would be done with meth. Each person says that, so.
I like that.
So you edit that, and each person says that, and it keeps clipping to them, and that'll be our final.
So I like the idea. What I struggle with is being just done with meth, because DEC isn't just about meth.
Be done with drugs.
That sounds better to me, because I get that meth is like the primary one. I understand that, but we don't want people to tie DEC just with meth. We want it to be tied to drugs.
And alcohol.
And alcohol, yes. Versus just methamphetamine. So what you came up with is a really cool idea, Chad. We'll just have to modify the wording a little bit.
Okay.
And I think that's something folks can kind of ponder too until we meet again, and maybe some ways to kind of communicate and in a fun way to get the message across. So maybe done with drugs isn't our tagline, but something. I think that would be good.
So I think what would help me is, what are we trying to accomplish by this website and these PSAs, and what is our message, I guess, generally? If someone could just explain that to me.
So I think basically the message is the overall what is DEC and why are we here? Our purpose is to reduce the number of drug endangered children. But it's also a mechanism for the county to know how to report that and what to look for. Because there's a lot of people that want to be good citizens but don't know what to do.
And I would just add, Andrea, these were some goals put out at the beginning of the year, and this is something that we can move ahead on at this point in time. So it's really, I mean, DEC is up and running, the work is being done, but there's no really platform to show that. So it's kind of that informational platform, but then it's also where folks can go to get more information. And we're not able to maybe get those community sessions as accomplished as quickly as we set out to do. So this is really providing some information out there to the public.
Did that answer your question, Andrea?
It does. I mean, to me, the reason why I go to these meetings is, you know, this has a big influence on the kids in our community, which is very important to me. But to me, the most important thing is that we have law enforcement working with human services. They're meeting on a regular basis and discussing ways to improve their cases, and that we're working collaboratively, you know, as well as we can. And so I think these are, you know, important things to work on, these PSAs, this website. But to me, like, we haven't had a meeting in a long time where I don't know, like, it's law enforcement meeting. Have we even sat down and really, you know, redefined our work group? Are we doing this the best we can? To me, that's what, like, I want to be focusing most of our attention on, because we're getting a lot of kids, you know, who need our services. So I think, you know, that's important to me. I just want to make sure that we're also, like, improving our work group and improving our DEC program as well. It's only been started about a year, right? Or maybe it's been 2, I'm not sure, but I just haven't heard anything much about that.
So do you have some suggestions on how we can improve?
Oh, well, I mean, I think I just know from cases that I see, and, you know, this most recent one, it sounds like Human Services called Investigator Knotts came out. I mean, it sounds like everything's going well, but I don't hear about it. I'm not part of those meetings. I don't think victim witnesses. I'm not sure if these meetings are happening or if it's just sort of like, hey, law enforcement, make sure you call DHS. So I'm just concerned, like, do we have our group operating the best it can? Are we doing everything we can for our cases before we, like, spend all this time about doing PSAs and doing websites? To me, I want to make sure we're finding all of the DEC kids that we can. And I know that this is part of it, you know, reaching out to the community and getting others involved. But I also, you know, would like to see that we're continuing to refine our DEC skills. Just my thoughts.
Just to answer your question there, we haven't met since COVID because of everybody working from home and not be able to meet. We did meet before COVID was our last meeting between law enforcement and social, and human services. So we did talk about, you know, our working collaboration and what we did and what we can do better. So we have been meeting. It just hasn't been on a regular basis because of COVID and people's status of working. So, and I think I can speak on our behalf for law enforcement that we've been working a lot better with human services and vice versa. And I think we've had a lot of cases where that have gone pretty flawless as of recently. I know we just had one today that was basically a follow through of the prior law enforcement contacts with human services, and then finally got a hair test come back, and now the follow through with taking and removing the kids. So, and that's going to continue the rest of the week. So I don't know if that answers your question there, Andrea.
I agree
Yeah, I
though
think
with
we had-
Andrea's opinion. I mean, I do think that I think there's always ways for our team to continue to I think I agree with Andrea and her points of we can always be better. And so I think we've improved, but we certainly can do better from the, to really try to put some more focus on that. And what are we missing still? And so what are we missing for the kids and the families, but also for like our workers' safety? Sometimes it's still super hard for them to understand, like law enforcement needs to go out with you. It's not really a choice. They need to go out with you because it's necessary, and law enforcement is willing to do that. So there's a lot of great things that are going well, but yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying too. I mean, this is, getting PSAs together and a website together kind of seems like, fluff. And probably the least important of all the work that we're doing. But I mean, I think it's still valuable and still good information to put out there. And I agree. I mean, we should probably, I think law enforcement and human services, I think is working really, really well together right now. I believe this week, I mean, we're between 9 and 11 kids already this week who have either gone into care, had to be removed from their homes, or needed to, protective plan needed to be put in place, or they needed to go to the other parents due to DEC situations. And we just had a meeting this morning, Lori and I did, with our initial assessment workers. And I mean, they just complimented law enforcement up and down and working with them. So I think that working relationship is going really, really well. I think we can always do a deeper dive into, each one of those cases just to make sure that all of our kids are getting what they need and what they deserve, like the medical piece and the therapy piece. I mean, all of those pieces, just making sure that they truly have what they need after, they've been exposed or they're, removed from a home. So yeah, I think there's always ways to be looking at our work and figuring out what we can do better.
So maybe I jumped ahead to determining next steps. So, I mean, I think we should continue to work on the website, work on these PSAs, but I mean, I also would like to see, there's been, some more turnover, I think from both agencies. And, we haven't really met to discuss like how we're doing and how we can get better on our DEC cases. And so maybe determining next steps, we could try to have, human services and law enforcement, and not just Chad and Kyle and Samson, because we all know, you guys know Lori and Carrie and most of the social workers, but it's the newer guys that the nighttime workers, those are the ones that concern me more, especially like trying to get Boyceville and other agencies involved. So if we can focus on getting the community out there, but also focus on building our program, I would like to see that as part of our work group.
We also have a new agent in our office who started on Monday, named Ben.
I guess my thoughts are that there's like two different groups here. So one is our public group. We meet publicly. We're talking about the program. We're talking about the collaboration. But then there was that smaller DEC group of human services and law enforcement and the DA that would meet. And we did get the update from Chad that it hasn't been happening because of COVID. So typically on our agenda, we do have an item each month, really, how are those meetings going? But that is kind of a closed door meeting, right? So those are where you're working through the case, you're talking about the particulars. Those really aren't these public group meetings. So I think those are separate things that need to be reported back. But to your point of, improving the program, improving that collaboration, right, I think that there's some work that can be done there, no doubt. And then with new staff and the training, I mean, that's also part of why we are putting together this information to have it out there, have it available, not just somebody that sat through our training 2 years ago. So this is a concerted effort to really be transparent about what we're doing, get the information out there. But just thinking about this in 2 different levels, one more of the kind of that oversight global level of looking at, are we collaborating? Are we sending out a message? But then the other, which is the workers, the law enforcement, really looking at those cases. Are they getting coded properly? Are they getting the services and all the things that they need? That's important too.
Charisse?
Yep.
Just one thing I'm wondering about, and of course I don't work in human services, I don't work in the DA's office, but I'm more of a community member, but I'm wondering, is there a reason to maybe track the data on how many are happening each month, each week, why they're happening, to see if there's reasons that seem to be why they might be increasing or decreasing that we can identify that might lead us to find a way to solve that issue? I don't know. I guess I'm just thinking off the top of my head, thinking that, well, if it's getting worse, what's causing it to get worse? If it's getting better, what's causing it to get better? It's one thing to deal with them when you have them happening, but are we identifying why they're happening? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It does make sense for sure. And I know we've talked a little bit about some of that. I don't know that we've tied it specifically to data all the time, and that we say, oh, this week there was, 200 more cases, or last week or whatever. And it's tied to this kind of thing, so for example, sometimes they, if there's a huge spike in COVID, they're saying it's because there was the Sturgis rally, for example. So I don't know that we've talked about that piece so much with DEC here. But that might be something we want to take a look at moving down the road and seeing if there's some things that we can work on specifically to try and prevent DEC kids from being created, so to speak.
Do we ever identify the demographics, I guess? For example, are they high income, low income, diversity? What are some of the circumstances that maybe are around these specific families? And if it's, if there's drugs going on in the home, is it because they lost their jobs? Is it because they this or that? Or is it a repeat from when they were growing up? And, just the demographics of it, to see if there's something there that might involve us doing something to help solve some of the problems that might be happening. So I guess that's where I'm coming from as a community person, and caring about what's going on is why is this happening? I mean, I know probably some of the reasons, but still, is it common that all these cases that you're having, are they all the same kinds of reasons, or are there different kinds of reasons?
And that's a multi-level conversation as well, because all the cases might be, let's say 95% of our cases are methamphetamine, but the demographics that come with that are very different. So good question. Good question.
Well, I think that really gets to the prevention piece too, if we can figure out, why, if some of these things are going on, or if there's themes and patterns. I've got a question for Carrie and Lori about the data. You guys have to do it by hand, don't you? Where you've got to kind of, it takes some time and effort to pull the data.
Yeah, we do. Every access report that comes in, we basically take our own data in regards to whether or not it, is coming in as domestic violence, meth, heroin, THC, alcohol. So in regards to some of those demographics, those do, some of them, I should say, some of that gets documented in EWISAQUIS. If they're low income, generations, not so much, although we just kind of know from seeing the same families through and through. And when you've been there long enough, you just know. But yeah, some of that stuff isn't super easy to track. But yeah, I think if we had if we knew the why, that would be the $1 million question.
Mhm. It might be something to take a look at, what if the data work group has discussed any of this kind of stuff as well. They may not have the information specific to DEC kids, but I know when I was connected to that a while ago, they were talking about the whys of criminal justice system as a whole. And I wonder if there's something we should tie into, check in with them too. Because if they've already gathered some of the data, it doesn't make sense to gather it again. You know what I mean? And I don't know, because I've not been involved with the data work group for a long time and what they have and what they don't have, but.
No, they're not looking at that. We don't get access to that data. Typically I get data from Chris Corpola, just kind of looking at, the categories that these cases fall in, whether they're, meth or drugs or alcohol or other. And it seems like the numbers were down over the summer, so maybe they're going back up. But I think their data, there's a role for this work group to look at the data each month. And I don't know if Lori and Carrie could bring something each month for us to kind of, even if it's just kind of, we got this many cases, these were the types of cases, this is what we were looking at least for discussion. The data from the law enforcement side, that's really based on the call and how it was categorized. So it tends to underestimate the number of DEC calls. So I think the data would probably be a little bit richer if it came from human services.
Do you have a thought here? Because your face is kind of.
And ours isn't going to be perfect either, just because that data does come in and at the point of access. So it could come in as a sexual abuse case, for example, no, drugs identified, but then you go out there, you're investigating the sexual abuse, and then you realize, oh yeah, it's all meth and heroin. So that's not a perfect system either. It's basically what's identified at the time of that initial call to human services. So that's why my face was probably contorting a little bit.
It was a little bit, and I'm like, she's got a thought in her head. So basically, both with law enforcement and CPS, your easily or semi-easily acceptable or accessible data is at point of entry into that system. And then you gather stuff as you go. Is that fair to say?
Yep.
Okay. That still might be better than nothing. It's at least a place to start to, as we move forward, looking at some of that kind of stuff and gathering some information to see if we can look at some preventative stuff. And maybe some of our PSAs then become preventative. And especially if we get the information out there that we're going to try and do updated PSAs, people might get interested and go back and look at them, especially if they're done well and they're short and sweet and to the point. People are more apt to go back and look at updated ones as well.
Well, what I'm wondering is whether or not with these identifiers, we'd be able to kind of predict certain families that maybe we're aware of that are in the system, but maybe haven't gotten to that point yet to where they're truly endangered children, but are likely that that's where it's headed, that there'd be some kind of an intervention or something that can happen that can prevent it from getting to that point. And, I don't know if we even have the manpower for something like that, but that might be, I guess, where I'm coming from, is that once you kind of determine what some of those reasons might be behind what's happening, that maybe you can then look into you know, some additional visitation or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I know Carrie, I know you guys are always extremely busy. So I don't know if that's even a possibility, but it seems like maybe there'd be a way of preventing it from getting to that point with some people.
Mhm. It's certainly a good avenue to take a look at. Absolutely. Whether we're preventing them to get to a CPS level or preventing them to get into the system if we can identify them even earlier. You know, and is there something that some other new resources we need to create or tap into to help with that? Good. Well, thanks for bringing that up, Sheila.
No problem.
Okay, well, we're past time, I see. So we should probably wrap things up. So we didn't get through the MOU review, so maybe we want to table that for next time. So just as a review of the MOU to make sure it's still accurate, still has what we want in it. Do we need to add something? Do we need to subtract something? Do we need to change names? Has there been a turnover in staff? You know, all those kinds of things, taking a look at it. So if everybody could just kind of review that for the next time. And then we'll have updates on the PSAs and the website ideas. And if there's anything else that people want to bring to the table, feel free. Okay.
Could I just add that if there's any data that folks could bring it, even if it's preliminary?
Right, because even if it's preliminary, it might give us an idea of how to categorize and what we're looking for specifically moving down the road.
Mm-hmm. And then look to what coordination needs to happen. Just, you know, speaking to Andrea's points about just the collaboration and that the cases are handled in the best possible way.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Thanks, Sarah. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, then I move to adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for your input today. I think it was a very productive meeting and very useful, not only for just the couple of things we had on the agenda, but also moving forward and future stuff. And be thinking about who's going to take my place. Because that'll be happening in the next couple of months. So be processing that idea. All right. Have a great evening, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.